doing top 10 WrestleManias. Why? Because it's WrestleMania season. That's why. Let's do this. All right. WrestleMania. It is WrestleMania season here. Of course, lots of things coming up. Right, we got WrestleMania 41 in a few weeks. Lots of matches still to be determined. But hey, if it's judging by any of the WrestleManias on my list here that I have in my top 10 list, well, then guess what, folks? It's going to be probably a hell of a good show. Because these are the ones, the top 10 lists that I think are the best. That's my opinion. Strictly putting, that's pretty much it. Don't like it? Oh, well. Well, feel free to comment down below if you don't like it. Speaking of which, two guys, before I get this thing whole start here, make sure you like, share, subscribe down below. In fact, you know what? The little icon there should pop up right beside me over here on this side there. We thank you for all your support there. Small click for you, large click for us here at DA Wrestling. We thank you very much for all of it. But anyway, let's get into it though. WrestleMania. Huge time of year, is like the wrestling Super Bowl of all things. Okay? Started by, well, we'll call him Vince McMahon because that's exactly who it was, right? WrestleMania 1. But that's not on my list. Why? Because I just don't like it. I watched it back as I got older, and, it's okay for what it is. It was kind of a starting point. Not everything you have in the starting point is always the greatest. Let's be honest. If you go back to our first video here, this kind of wasn't that great. Got a lot better. Probably still not where it should be, but hey, better. But anyway, guys, this is the top 10 WrestleManias, right, of all time, in my opinion. Strictly opinion based. Obviously, if people don't like it, hey, please comment down below and tell me which one WrestleMania you like is best, right? It might be the same one I have. It might not be the same one I have. You might like the one that happened in Caesar's Palace, with all the togas going on. I hope you're joking when you say that. Anyway, let's get started here. Number 10 on the list. WrestleMania 3. Why? You just said WrestleMania 1 was horrible. Yeah, I did. WrestleMania 3, though, on the other hand, was absolutely one of the best WrestleManias of all time. Right? Obviously, the attendance record, which had been skewed over time by many people. People say it wasn't really that what it was. Who cares? I'm just not here to debate attendance records. Right? But what I'm here to say, though, is that WrestleMania 3 is number 10 on the list. Why? Because it single-handedly put wrestling really on the map for what it is today. Right? Put WWE at the higher echelon. Right? Hulk Hogan. As much as people don't like Hulk Hogan right now, you cannot deny the fact wrestling history without Hulk Hogan, especially in WWE, when he slammed Andre the Giant, the Pontiac Silverdome in Detroit. Right? Arguably one of the greatest matches of all time that people still regard as one of the greatest matches of all time. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Randy Macho Man Savage for the Intercontinental title. Those two alone, right, made WrestleMania 3 as it is. All right? Simple as that. Not much else to it. You really have to. A lot of other great matches on there. Obviously, you had the Hart Foundation, early things there. You had Demolition there. Right? You had Hillbilly Jim, Big John Studd, Coco Beware. Those guys. Some guys of the past. Hey, go back and look and watch it yourself. It is a long event, but arguably it is one of the biggest WrestleManias of all time. Right? But number 9, though, is fantastic. WrestleMania 31. Number 9. Why? Well, it took place in San Francisco, so things were definitely a lot different. A lot more brighter during the daytime. You had the Undertaker return after his WrestleMania 30 loss to Brock. Comes back, faces Bray Wyatt. It wasn't in the dark, though, so it was kind of annoying. But it's still pretty good for what it was. Right? You had Triple H come out looking like the Terminator against Sting. Still think Sting should have won that match. Right? But you had guys like NWO come out. Right? DX come out. Right? Big fun thing, too. It was also literally the beginning of the Ronda Rousey time in WWE. Kind of like the little start, the little bit of the nugget that they sat in there saying this could happen someday. And eventually did. Right? John Cena versus Rusev. Rusev comes out on a massive tank. Yeah, because wasn't good enough. I wasn't crazy at all. Right? With the U.S. title. Fine. Right? On top of that, he had arguably the most shocking moment in WrestleMania history when Seth Rollins cashed in on Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns to turn it into a triple threat match for Rollins to win his first WWE title. Exciting, left you in suspense. Like, wow, that's insane. I can't believe that just happened. So there you go. Right? Plus, you had that really killer RKO from Randy Orton onto Seth Rollins earlier in the night when it was really hot and warm outside and sunny. Hey, it's what it is. Number 8, WrestleMania 30. I just mentioned Undertaker coming back, right? From a year off. WrestleMania 30. Right? In New Orleans. Okay? Daniel Bryan wrestled twice that night, beating Triple H one time and then beating Randy Orton as well as Batista in the triple threat main event match. Right? If he didn't beat Triple H, he would have been in that triple threat match. Right? Ends up beating Triple H, goes to the triple threat match, ends up winning the world title. Big celebration. Confetti falls from the sky, yada, yada, yada. Sad part, shocking part, though, too, of one of the most shocking moments as well, because I just mentioned one in WrestleMania 31. Undertaker losing his streak at WrestleMania 30 to Brock Lesnar. Undertaker has gone on record says he doesn't remember half the match due to the fact that he was concussed some way through it. So looking at one guy's face, too, told enough. All right? Not to mention, you know, it was a hell of a good show for what it was at WrestleMania 30. Obviously, the biggest moment being Brock Lesnar and Undertaker. Daniel Bryan solidifying himself as a champion in WWE. Number 6. Might be a little controversial. That's okay. Controversy's fine. This is my list, remember. Being from Canada, Toronto, WrestleMania 6. Why? Because it's my childhood. That's why. It's my childhood. WrestleMania 6, Ultimate Challenge, Warrior versus Hogan, title for title, IC title versus the world champion, making the Ultimate Warrior the world champion. I was a Hulkamaniac, so I thought that Hogan was going to win this for sure. Boy, was I disappointed. Really ruined my childhood. A little bit. But at the time, it makes a lot of sense when you look back on it now. Right? You also had, well, the Hart Foundation, Bret Hart, before he still became a single star, with Jim the Animal Neidhart, beat the Bolsheviks in 30 seconds. Right? That was awesome. You had the Rockers versus the Orient Express. You had Demolition win back the tag team titles, right? Against over Andre the Giant and Haku. Coco Beware versus the Mall Rick Martel. Jake Snake Roberts versus Ted DiBiase. Excellent match, right? And controversy too, if you want to get technical there. Canadian man, Roddy Piper. Yes, he's Canadian. He's from Peterborough, originally. Coming facing Bad News Brown, also another Canadian, right? The controversy part, though, is that Roddy Piper comes down painted half black, half white. And Jesse Body Ventura saying, that's my running mate for the Prime Minister of Canada. Yeah, that happened. Well, that was an excellent one. It was one of the first few big shows of the opening of the Sky Dome in Toronto. Yes, the Sky Dome, not the Rogers Center in Toronto. Right? Because that's what it was called. One of the first real big main events that happened at the Sky Dome at that time. Because Sky Dome was open around 89. Same thing. Cool? Right? All right. Number 6. Number 6. Some people may like it. Some people not. It took a year to build. WrestleMania 28 in Miami. Rock versus Cena 1. WrestleMania 27 set it up. WrestleMania 28 fulfilled it. The Rock beating John Cena. Obviously, there was no time on the line there. That came the year after. Right? Obviously, the biggest match of the time there. Also, you had the end of the era match. Right? Undertaker versus Triple H versus Shawn Michaels, arguably one of the greatest matches in WrestleMania history. It's true, right? At least in my opinion. Hell in a Cell match, every person in that match had a role to play. Shawn made that thing so emotional for everybody, it was hard sometimes to watch. But a hell of a match. Undertaker came down to Johnny Cash things. One of the first few times he never came down without the gong going off. So, and you also saw Sheamus beat Daniel Bryan really quickly too. Hey, can't get them all. Right? Number 5. Now, number 5 was a hard one. I'm at the halfway point, right? At the halfway point right there, we're like, who should I put number 5? Like the first 4 were really easy. 5 was difficult too because you have a lot of WrestleManias. There's 40 WrestleManias to go over here. Number 5, though, is a tiebreaker, as far as I'm concerned. It's a tie between WrestleMania 20 and WrestleMania 38. Why you say 38, Andrew? Why would you say 38? Why? Because there was a return of Cody Rhodes against Seth Rollins when nobody knew no one knew who Seth was facing. We had an idea. When Cody came out, it single-handedly set up to where the WWE was going to go into what its future is, into what it is now, to this present day. That's Cody's the world champion. Cody Rhodes coming back after his time in AEW, starting AEW. There. Right? Forget the fact, you did Brock versus, you did Brock versus Roman Reigns, the unified titles. That's whatever. WrestleMania 38 was a very memorable WrestleMania for a lot of people, and that being what Cody won being one of them for sure. Now, you said, though, WrestleMania 20, though, Andrew. Why did I say WrestleMania 20? That's a little controversy here. Well, one, Undertaker returned to the dead man gimmick against Kane. You had The Rock come back to the Rock Stock Connection against Evolution. They lost. But it was the crowning of now controversial figure Chris Benoit winning the world title over Shawn Michaels and Triple H in a triple threat match for the world title. And Eddie Guerrero coming out at the end of it and celebrating with Chris Benoit. WrestleMania 20 is a whole special place for me because obviously it was the Chris Benoit's win was huge, especially if you're a Canadian fella back at the time. If you take away everything you say about Chris Benoit you want. What he did, sure, unforgivable. But at the time, that was one of the most surreal moments for anybody who's been following Chris Benoit's career at that point in time. And being him winning the world championship. It was only one time, but Chris Benoit ended up winning the world title that way. In my opinion, that's one of the best moments in wrestling, despite the fact that everything that Chris Benoit did after that. I hate to break it to everybody. Now, number 4. WrestleMania 19 is that number. Seattle. Why are you saying Seattle? It's a couple reasons. Well, one, you had Hogan versus McMahon. Yeah, that's kind of a down thumb thing. But it was also something that nobody saw. You had Brock Lesnar, right? Well, severely hurt himself against Kurt Angle in the main event, right? Doing a shooting star press from like try to get halfway across the ring, right? You had Undertaker defend his streak against 2 people. It was supposed to be Nathan Jones in that match. Ended up facing Test and Albert by himself. but it was also at the time the final match of Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock. You know, nobody knew at the time, but Austin retired after that for a very long time until WrestleMania 39, until WrestleMania 38 it was, yeah, until WrestleMania 38. So he retired for all those years. Right? He came out retiring for that last match, 38. But at the time, nobody knew Austin was retiring. Nobody saw any of this happening. Nobody knew anything was going on with Stone Cold. Obviously, if you read his book, right, he was in the hospital the night before. So nobody even knew. That's what made it so surreal. And The Rock being there, ending Stone Cold, was the right thing to do, and it should have been that right thing to do. You also had Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho, right? A very good, a very excellent match, right? Like I said though too, Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle. Kurt wrestled that match with a broken neck, took time off after that. Moving on. Number three. Once again, I'm Canadian. This is Canadian. This is Canadian thing. WrestleMania 18. Also Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Why? Hulk Hogan versus The Rock. If you ever saw somebody turn face midway through a match, this is where you saw it. Right? People don't realize this. Now, realize why Hulk Hogan is at the time, because I don't know about now, but at the time, Hulk Hogan was revered in Canada. Why, you ask? Why you say that? You shouldn't say those things. Yes, it's true though. Because during the territory time period, right, Hulk Hogan wrestled a ton in Montreal, in Toronto, in New York. Those are the three main hubs for WWE at the time. Okay? So this is this is 80s to the 90s. Okay? Hulk Hogan coming back in the WWE, supposed to be a heel, comes down and everyone boos The Rock and cheers Hulk Hogan. Nobody saw that coming. Not the WWE, not any announcer, not one newspaper. Nobody saw that coming. Yes, The Rock won that night, but Hulk Hogan ended up turning face that night and made it official in Montreal the day after. Hey, you do. You also had Trish Stratus versus Jazz, and I believe it was Lita, right? In a triple threat match for the women's title, right? You had Chris RVD versus William Regal, right? That match as well, right? You had a lot of great matches on that card. Austin versus Scott Hall, right? The main event, however, was Chris Jericho versus Triple H for the undisputed title. After Triple H won the Royal Rumble after he came back from knee surgery. Hindsight probably should have shot been in a match before Hogan versus Rock, but hey, you'll learn a valuable lesson there. Number two, WrestleMania 40. Obviously, last year's WrestleMania should be on this list. Obviously, attendance record, but also is the crowning of Cody Rhodes as the face and the man of the company, the quarterback. Right? Defeating the longest modern day champion in Roman Reigns. All right? Seriously. Right? Rhea Ripley defeating Becky Lynch. Right? CM Punk, I guess, screwing Drew McIntyre after Drew McIntyre won the world title. And then Damian Priest cashing in on him. Right? All these matches happened at WrestleMania 40. Go back and watch it. I watched it recently. It was a hell of a good show. It was a lot of fun. Right? Take a look at it. That's number two. Now, before I get to number one, obviously, you have honorable mentions. I will put number WrestleMania 1 on as an honorable mention. Okay? WrestleMania 10. Obviously, there was the Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon at WrestleMania 10. The standard setter for that ladder match for the most part. Brett versus Owen. Brett winning the title at the end of the night. Right? WrestleMania 12. Right? WrestleMania 13, which is going to the which that match, WrestleMania 13, is going to the Hall of Fame. Brett versus Austin. WrestleMania 14, also not a mention. Austin being crowned as the world as a WWE champion, over Shawn Michaels with Mike Tyson. Few honorable mentions. There is more, but the list is there's 40 WrestleManias. It's hard to make a crap down top 10 there, folks. And number one, my personal favorite, WrestleMania 17. Houston, Undertaker ripped a bike down to face Triple H. Right? Austin versus The Rock, where Austin turned heel, or at least attempted to turn heel for what it was. Right? Tables, ladders, and chairs, I think it was two. The first one, the second one was there. The one where Edge spears Jeff Hardy from after hanging onto the titles into the ground. Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit. Right? Chris Jericho versus William Regal. The Gimmick Battle Royal. One of the most fun WrestleManias of all time is WrestleMania X 17. It is probably one of the best WrestleManias of all time. It's considered the best WrestleMania of all time by a lot of people, and myself included. Hey, that's how I feel about it. That is the list, folks. That is the best top 10 WrestleManias that I feel of all time. Right? It is a who's who of WrestleManias, though. The list can vary from other people depending on who you talk to. I'm sure if I ask Doug what his favorite WrestleManias are, he'll probably give me a whole list of 10 and then another 10 later on. So, all those, that is your WrestleMania list. WrestleMania 17 is the best one, in my opinion, in most people's opinion. So, hey, thanks very much for watching. This is episode of DA Wrestling. Make sure you follow us on all socials there. Spotify, Podbean, X, AMP 1982, TikTok, DA Sports, also X, DA Wrestling, D Lines 1991. That's Doug when he's on here. Right? Don't forget to like, share, subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and Podbean. Thanks very much, guys. Have yourself a good one. WrestleMania season's coming up. WrestleMania's around the corner. Hope you enjoy it. Watch out for the predictions video. That's coming by in the next little bit. How you going, guys?